Hello world, welcome to my channel. If you've ever led any project in your career, you know the pain of driving consensus among different people, especially when there are people who have different opinions and they come with an agenda into each single decision you're making. It can feel like a total drag and the project may feel like it's going nowhere. I'm about to tell you some good news. There are ways you can ensure that the project moves forward with clear decisions being made. It's not really rocket science as long as you know how to apply them and make things happen. So here it goes. Here are 5 things that I want to share with you that will help build consensus. Number one, decide who the key decision maker is. Now, this is by far a decision that will go a long way in the project. Oftentimes, I've seen people come into a meeting wanting to make a decision on something, but it ends up going nowhere because there is no clear leader who's ultimately making a decision. Everyone thinks they are the decision maker, everyone wants to influence the decision because they have their own agenda. But if there is no single person to ultimately take the call, then decisions can get stalled seemingly forever. So, as a group that's involved in the project, that needs to be an election or even a written agreement on who the key decision maker for a project is, especially if it's a large and complex technical decision. If it's not super clear who's kind of the decision maker for the project, it is time to kick it up. Talk to the stakeholders, talk to a sponsor of the project who's paying the money to ask who you want your decision maker to be. Um, Either way, it is important either as a group to agree on the key decision maker or top down approach to have the decision maker established. Now, it does not mean that the single decision maker is responsible for every single decision that needs to be made. That is not what I'm saying. There might be cases where there are certain micro decisions that can be resolved in by the person who's responsible for a task or a small chunk of the project. That's totally fine to decide in a local environment. But when it comes to the overall project and there are decisions that can't be resolved at a local level, a single decision maker of the project can go a long way. Number two, decide with facts and data. The chances of a decision being stalled go significantly low when you have all the facts and the data backing every single decision. Um, this is an ideal state. When you walk into a meeting where a key decision needs to be made, if the facts and the data are very clear, the decision just sticks out like a candle in the dark room. It's very easy, trivial. You end up saving a lot of time not talking about things if only the facts and the data are presented. What ends up happening in real life is people come into meetings with not enough data, not even enough facts to actually make the right decisions. Preparing a little bit ahead of time before even getting to the meeting will go a really long way. A good decision is the decision that is made well with the least amount of time. So go prepared for those with the data and the facts for those decisions. Now, one caveat is that not all decisions can be made with just facts and data. There are some resolution that needs to happen, and we will talk about what that is in the next few tips. Number three, understand that there is a decision hierarchy. You may feel like all decisions are important, everything needs to be made at one plain level. That is simply not true. There is a decision hierarchy. Typically, a decision that can have a significant ramification of the projects are considered the foundational decisions. They're also sometimes referred to as the one-way door decisions. These decisions need to be made extremely carefully with a lot of data, facts, and consultation with others if possible, and spending the time and energy towards that in a first thing in the project can actually help the project go pretty smoothly. So don't be shy about spending the time there. The art and the skill here is to identify what these one-way door decisions are up front. For example, if you're building a large application that needs to store a large volume of data, one key decision could be, what programming language do I choose? Oftentimes these programming languages don't interoperate with other programming languages, so you need to be careful which ones you choose. Sometimes the language is kind of it's an easy decision because an organization already has something that's well tested and has been used and has better integration. But if you're starting from scratch, that decision is a critical decision. The database that you store this data can be a close second, or maybe almost equally an important decision to spend time ahead of the project execution. So these are the ones that you need to tease out the first thing in the project and spend the time and effort in making those in a clear way as possible. Number 4, list all your choices and their pros and cons. I can't tell you how many times I go into a project and somebody has done these similar project in the past that I'm looking up a documentation, but it's not clear to me what choices were considered. The choices that was taken or decided on is no longer relevant because the technology choice has changed. It is really helpful for yourself, for your future self, and for other teammates to actually see all the choices that you considered along with all the data and the facts that went into it, and then the final decision that you took. So do spend the time to document all the choices that you had and the final decisions you made and why. Going through a list of pros and cons for each of these choices, what shined for you for this particular project, what made it an appropriate choice has to be documented. Otherwise, you're going to go in the future, you're going to look at that document and really spend a lot of time scratching your head trying to figure out why the hell did you make this decision. You really want that down in a document that you can refer to it later. All right, I saved the best one for the last. This is number 5. Have tenets. Okay, most decisions can be made with data and facts. It is true, but there are decisions that can be particularly sticky. It's not really clear which decision should be made, and both have an equal weightage of pros and cons, but something needs to be done to move the project forward. A decision needs to be made. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck. So this is where tenets can come really handy. Tenets are nothing but a simple statement that can help really drive or disambiguate one choice versus the other. And a simple example is a tenet could be that we would always save money over non-critical user experience. Let's say you're building an application and a time comes where you're thinking, should I add a new server to support a customer to update their profile information while also buying the products on their page? Now, the updating the profile information is a non-critical use case, and it requires a bunch of servers and machines and API and a service to be running. It actually costs money. So if you have a tenant that says, I'll always save money instead of supporting non-critical user experience, the choice is very clear. Don't add the servers. There are reasons to choose a tenant. It could be because the company is strapped for cash. It cannot spend all the money on servers. It prioritizes an MVP project, MVP product to go out the door. And that's a good tenant to actually have because it actually helps make the decision for those projects. Tenants are usually written at the beginning of the project based on circumstances or based on whatever the company or the team or the organization believes is the right thing to do. And they're applied for large, ambiguous decisions. Invest the time upfront to build them, create them, also work with your stakeholders and your sponsors to actually tell them that, hey, here are the tenants. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed these 5 tips that I shared with you. And remember, driving consensus can sometimes feel like an artistic endeavor. It is. You have to know a lot more details, and there's a lot of context in it, and there's a lot of politics involved. So these 5 tips hopefully will give you something to work on, but it's by no means meant to be complete. There are some really good books and resources out there. One of my favorite is How to Win Friends and Influence Others by Dale Carnegie. It is a well-written book, and you won't regret reading it, especially when you're driving large projects and you need to build those consensus. So do spend the time to read it and use them in your work. With that, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my channel. It'll go a long way. Until next time, good luck out there. Peace.